Imagine opening a book that wasn't written by human hands, but whispered into existence by a force dwelling beyond the veil. The manual of the Faceless God is not a mere reading, it is a rite of passage, an invocation, an explosion of consciousness that shatters the boundaries of the visible and the nameable. In this work, Aleister Crowley, prophet of the occult, architect of the ineffable, leads us to a threshold where names dissolve and only pure will remains. Here there are no dogmas, no idols, only a question burning like sacred fire. Who are you when you can no longer see yourself? Every word in this text is a key, every silence a crack in the mask you call I. The Faceless God does not demand worship, he demands awakening. This is not a path for the fearful, but for those who dare to stare into the abyss and keep walking. Prepare yourself, because once you hear his voice, your voice behind all others, there is no turning back. This is the manual, this is the empty mirror, and you are about to enter. Did you expect enlightenment? Did you expect redemption? A ladder to the sky or a white robe woven with kind words? Then close this book now. This is not a path, it is an open wound that never heals. This is not a text, it is a given under the tongue. This is not a gospel, it is the burned mirror. Here you will not find comfort, hope, or promises. Here you will find what you have buried. The you that does not ask for permission. The you that does not seek meaning. The you that does not need a name because it is pure fire, and fire has no face. Who are you? Do you truly believe you can answer? Every time you name yourself, you chain yourself. Every time you choose a symbol, you surrender. Every time you repeat the story that was told to you, you condemn yourself to die within it. I did not come to build, I came to demolish, to laugh at altars, to tear off the masks of saints, to urinate on biographies, to burn the genealogies of the soul. Do you want truth? I have it, but the truth is not a garden. It is an abyss that devours the one who doubts. And when you enter it, you will come out different, if you come out at all. Because many read books like this, seeking tools, and end up becoming ruins, because they were not ready to see themselves without skin. You have said, I do not want to be Jesus. I do not want to be the one. I do not want to be convinced. And for that sacred blasphemy, you are worthy of extermination. Because the true initiate no longer wants idols, nor enemies, nor redeemers. They only desire one thing, to be. To be without form, to be without story, to be without the need to be understood. This book is not written for humans. It is written for gods who have renounced heaven, for beasts who have renounced hell, for entities who have renounced everything but themselves. Do not expect structures. There will be no maps. There will be no light at the end. Only you, carving yourself through the blows of denial, through the fire of solitude, until no language remains. Only presence, only core, only flame. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. And if your will is to become unnameable, inexplicable, immortal, then open this book and let it devour you. Chapter 1. Break your name. What you can name is not you. You call yourself Juan Maria Esteban. Do you call yourself artist, magician, seeker, entrepreneur, spiritual priest, warrior of light? Then you have already failed, because everything that can be named is already dead. And you did not come here to dress corpses with words. You came to become the void that burns. The name is a chain, a sound cage, an inherited agreement, a mark placed by others so that you can be called by them. The name is the most elegant form of slavery because it allows you to feel unique when in reality you have been pigeonholed. And you, proud of your name, kneel every time you pronounce it. You repeat it in documents, in rituals, in dreams, and forget that you were not born with it. It was imposed on you, and you accepted it, you descended with it, you worshipped it like a dog licking its own leash. I, Aleister Crowley, did not go by birth. I chose the name as one chooses a weapon, but I never confused myself with it. I was never a prisoner of my mask. My name was a knife, not an altar. And when it no longer served me, I let it bleed on the pages and kept walking. You too can let it go, but it will not be enough to change it. It is not re-baptizing yourself that will set you free. It is stopping the need to define yourself. It is existing without a label. It is looking the world in the eyes and offering no explanation about what you are, because what you are does not fit in words, does not fit in concept, does not fit in temple. Have you noticed how every time you name yourself, you limit yourself? I am good, I am bad, I am spiritual, I am human. Each of those phrases is a prison, a cell disguised as identity, And every time you identify with something fixed, you surrender your power to that form and fire is not contained. The initiate who has begun to tear the veil no longer responds to names. They become presence, a vibration that does not need to be named because it imposes itself. It is felt, it is respected, it is feared. Look at the prophets, the saints, the kings, they all named themselves. They all had to say, I am such and such to exist, because without that shield, they fell apart. Because their identity was not essence. It was wet paper, ego wrapped in incense, a shadow that feared the void. But true power does not need to present itself. It is perceived. And so, if you have decided to enter this grimoire, you must start with the suicide of the name. Do not define yourself. Destroy yourself. Forget your biography. Burn it. Do not tell it anymore. Do not use it as a passport to others' respect. Make silence your new face, and watch how others no longer know how to call you because they have begun to fear you. The name makes you recognizable, and everything recognizable can be controlled. The unnameable being cannot be invoked, cannot be directed, cannot be contained. It is a fire that changes shape, a verb that never allows itself to be conjugated. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, and if your will is to burn without the need for applause, title, or story, then break your name. Destroy it with the fury of one who has been born 1,000 times and stay only with that. The fire that cannot be explained, the being that does not fit in words, the you before the you. Chapter 2. The Farce of Good, Fear Dressed as Virtue. Everything they call good is fear that learned to disguise itself. It's not virtue, it's not love, it's not elevated compassion, it's emotional obedience, parasitic programming, a straitjacket scented with incense, a morality for the domesticated. The idea of good has been the most successful trap of the faceless enemy because it doesn't impose shackles. It convinces you that you chose them, and so they say, be good, be just, be understanding, forgive, love, serve, be silent. And you, chained in gold, smile, thinking that it elevates you. But the only thing the common good elevates is the throne of those who dominate you. They have taught you that goodness is helping others, mercy, sacrifice. All those words smell like ash, like wrapped bodies, like mutilated will because helping is not bad. But doing it from a moral obligation turns you into a martyr, a slave to spiritual parasites who do not dare to take and thus manipulate to receive. Do you want to know if something is good? Ask yourself if you would do it the same way without witnesses, without reward, without approval. If the answer is no, then it's not goodness, it's the fear of no longer belonging. And fear is the father of all invisible pacts, and those pacts chain you. The collective morality was built by the weak to protect themselves from the strong, by the sleepers to control those who are about to awaken. Because when one frees oneself, when one decides that their only law will be their will, the world trembles and needs you to return to the fold, using goodness as bait, as sweet poison, like a silk prison. The true initiate is not good. They are just with themselves, coherent with their fire. And if their fire destroys, so be it. And if their silence destroys, so be it. And if their gaze provokes storms, so be it, because the initiate doesn't ask if they're doing good, they ask if they're obeying their center. And when they do, the universe calls them real, although the world calls them dangerous, or demon, or beast. I was called a monster, a witch, a heretic, an abomination, and every insult was incense reminding me, I have not betrayed myself, I have not kneeled before the altar of good. I followed my fire, and that is why I burn, but I burn standing. Do your will, it shall be all the law. And if your will still needs to be good, then it is not yours, it's the flock's. Break it, profane it, do what burns inside, even if it burns everything outside. Because the fire that destroys the imposed good creates the only throne that does not fall, the one that rises over real ashes, not over false smiles or fear dressed as virtue. Chapter 3. You shall not imitate anyone, not master, not angel, not beast. They taught you to imitate before you learned to breathe. They told you there were saints to follow, masters to obey, models to admire, angels to aspire to resemble, beasts to fear or worship. And you, hungry for meaning, devoured them all, hoping that by wearing their skin you would discover your own. But that is the trick. Imitating is the most sophisticated way of betraying yourself. It's erasing your fire in the name of someone else's fire. It's replicating a structure that was never meant to contain your soul. And every time you repeat the gestures of another, you distance yourself from yourself. Every time you repeat their phrases, you love their cage more than your own abyss. You shall not imitate the saint, the demon, the enlightened, the libertine, the radiant angel, or the god of stone, because everything that does not come from your core is a mask, and you did not come here to act, you came here to burn. Humanity offers you models, the initiate burns them. Humanity asks for discipline, humility, obedience. You break mirrors, destroy genealogies, spit on lineages, because you do not form yourself from repetition but from rupture. Do you think true power comes from learning techniques, reading treaties, copying masters? It does not come when, amidst silence, you discover a gesture no one taught you, and that gesture creates reality. Without permission, without precedent, without a name. I, Aleister Crowley, was not the heir of a tradition. I was the rupture. I was the abyss between systems. I was the blasphemy that made the halls of the hidden order tremble, and for that I was not loved. I was feared, I was observed, I was cursed, because the one who does not imitate cannot be dominated. You came here with a form no one has seen, with a seal that has not yet been written. And if you prostitute it to fit into the mold of some master, some angel, some closed figure, you will become shadow, echo, error. Do not seek as the greats did. Do what has never been done. Do not copy rituals, invent them. Do not follow commandments. Write them in your marrow and let them come true when you speak. Do not imitate strength. Become its source. Do your will, it shall be all the law. And if your will still resembles someone else's too much, it is not will, it is foreign memory. Tear it out, destroy it, until the only reference is you. No mirror, no reflection, no need for approval, because the one who does not imitate no longer needs to be understood, only needs to be obeyed by reality, and reality before the only one does not argue. It kneels. Chapter 4. The ego is not eliminated, it is mastered, mounted, carried like a weapon. Who told you the ego was your enemy? Who sold you the illusion of absolute detachment, of the dissolved self, of transparent sainthood? Probably a mutilated one disguised as a wise man, someone who failed to master their own fire and decided to extinguish it to feel at peace with their weakness. The ego is not the problem. The ignorance of the ego is. The fear of the ego is. The inability to use it as a weapon. That is what makes the ego a torturer instead of a servant. Do you think you can eliminate the ego? Then you are trying to eliminate your sword in the middle of the battlefield, and you will be cut by those who know how to wield it. The ego is the warhorse. It is not you, but without it you cannot ride. Without it you cannot speak, decide, chart, face, penetrate the world. Without it you are wind without direction, energy without purpose, light that neither burns nor transforms. I never wanted to eliminate it. I mounted it. I trained it like a sacred beast. I taught it to obey my will, not my impulses. I fed it with burning images and cutting words. And when my soul wanted to rest, I sent it to the battlefield as the living banner of my center. The ego is not an obstacle to the divine. It is the vehicle. It is the mask with which the fire becomes visible. It is the operational symbol of the real presence. And that is why the true initiate is not ashamed to have an ego. They are ashamed of not mastering it, of hiding it, of pretending humility when what burns inside is the desire for total supremacy. Because yes, the ego wants to reign and you do too, but you know that the throne is not outside, it is inside. And that is why you use the ego as the sword of the soul, as an extension of the invisible, as the form that vibrates to the rhythm of your will. Do your will, it shall be all the law. And if your will still trembles before your own ego, then you are outside the circle. Return to the temple only when you are ready to look at yourself without fear and tell your ego, you are not the king, but you will be my sword, and you will not stop cutting until the world remembers who rules. Chapter 5. Make pain your forge. Only what burns becomes real. Pain is not punishment. Pain is not karma. Pain is not a test, a lesson, or a message from the universe. Pain is the hammer that breaks what you are not and reveals what can never be destroyed. You, reader of grimoires, you who did not come to be saved or redeemed, you need pain. You need it as fire needs oxygen, because while it doesn't hurt, you're still comfortable. And while you're comfortable, you remain asleep. The true initiate does not flee from suffering. He turns it into alchemy, into a sword, into an altar. Each scar is a line carved in the invisible book of his power. Each fall is a signature. Each rejection is a seal. Each exile is a throne built deeper inside. The weak want to heal, the kings want to burn, because they know that only in combustion does the true metal reveal itself. Doesn't gold need fire to purify itself? Doesn't steel get forged under brutal blows? Did you, who claim to want to awaken, expect to do so among feathers and sweet songs? You were lied to. Those who promised you peace before you faced yourself are the sellers of empty temples. Real peace does not come before pain. It comes after burning everything. And when it arrives, it is not passivity. It is silence with a jawline, calm with a throne, emptiness that cannot be touched. I have felt pain in all its forms, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and I never rejected it. I embraced it as a dark lover, used it as a tool, turned it into word, into invocation, into form. And so each wound became a symbol, each night became sacred fire, each betrayal became raw material for my inner temple. You can do it too, but you need to stop running, stop healing, stop wanting it to not hurt, stop looking at fire as punishment, and start walking into it with open eyes, with a bared chest, with sharpened will. Make pain your ritual. Do not explain it, do not deny it. Use it, observe it as it tears you apart, and carve each cut with your secret name. And when you leave that night, if you leave, you will no longer be human. You will be a seal, a cry, a living decree. Do your will, it shall be the law. And if your will still wants to avoid suffering, then it is not will, it is a desire to return to the womb. But you were not made to return. You were made to burn, and only what burns becomes real. Chapter 6. Your story is garbage. Burn your past as an offense to your greatness. What are you still doing telling your story? What are you still doing repeating that parade of wounds, traumas, small victories as if your past were an altar worthy of incense? Your story is garbage. Not because it wasn't real, but because you keep worshipping it as if it defined you. And that is an offense to your fire. You have become a narrator of ruins. Every time you speak of what happened to you, what was done to you, what you've overcome, you shackle yourself. Everything you remember with pride or with sorrow keeps you bound to the form you were and prevents you from mutating. The true initiate has no past. He has only an absolute present and a kindled will. He does not drag, does not justify, does not build on what was lived, but on what was decreed. And what was decreed does not need memory, it needs fire. I, Aleister Crowley, never sat to tell the story of my childhood as an excuse. I did not use my biography as an emotional weapon. The story for me was just clay, and I broke it as many times as necessary until no word remained in me that wasn't mine. You must do the same. Your story is not you. Your traumas do not define you. Your past victories are tombstones, and you still use them as trophies. Because every time you repeat, "I am this way because this happened to me," you are handing your crown to the ghost of what you were. And do you know what ghosts do? They imitate you, whisper to you from the depths of the subconscious, caress you with guilt, nostalgia, attachment. And instead of exorcising them, you invite them to your altar, feed them, ask them for identity, as if the wound had the right to rule you. Enough. Burn your story, make your biography 1 hour. Look at every memory as a false idol and destroy it mercilessly. Leave nothing that smells of yesterday, because yesterday is a bridal. And you did not come here to be dragged, you came to rise. The true initiate does not present himself. He does not say who he is, he simply is. His presence does not need background. His vibration does not come from the past. It comes from an eternal center. And that center needs no resume, only silence and fire. Do your will. It shall be the law. And if your will still quotes your story to justify itself, then it is not will, it is sick narration. Break the chain. Remove the names, tear the dates, and be without a past. For only in the one without history is the truly newborn, the unnameable, the inviolable. Because as long as you keep saying, "I am the one who suffered this," or "I am the one who achieved that," you are still a slave to the echo. And the echo does not create realities, it only repeats them. Do everything and be reborn without language, without chronicle, without wounds to show as decorations. Then, and only then, will the universe bow before you, because it will have no way to recognize you, and what cannot be recognized cannot be stopped. Chapter 7. Do not seek meaning, impose it. They made you believe that life has a hidden meaning, a higher purpose, a secret reason you must discover, as if the universe were a vault and you a beggar with silk gloves. Lie. There is no meaning waiting to be found. There is only emptiness waiting to be ordered by your will. The one who seeks meaning outside of themselves has declared themselves a subject. The true initiate does not seek meaning. They impose it, they engrave it, they hammer it onto the flesh of the universe like a burning seal. You wait for the world to reveal why you are here. Do you think there is a predestined function, a divine purpose like a comforting fable? Then you are still worshipping an external God, a structure that thinks for you, an entity that writes you. But you were not made to be read. You were made to be the author. The one who seeks meaning is a slave to chance. The one who imposes it is their own God. Do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What decree will I inscribe upon this?" Do not ask, "What is my mission?" Declare, "This is my law." I never sought meaning in temples, nor in sacred texts, nor in the stars. I corrupted them, rewrote them, violated them with my word, because the universe was not made to be understood. It was made to obey, and it obeys those who do not doubt. Philosophers seek meaning, poets dream it, religious people invent it, the initiate imposes it, and does not explain it because what needs explanation is already begging for existence. Do you feel perfect emptiness? That emptiness is not a disease. It is your canvas, your altar, your space of imposition. Because chaos fears only one thing, the will that does not tremble. The universe, like a wild animal, does not let itself be caressed. But if you take it by the neck and shout your decree, it aligns, it surrenders, it bends and serves you, not out of love, but by nature, because the world was made to obey those who no longer ask. Make your will, and it will be all the law. If your will still kneels before the altar of, "What does this mean?" then it is not will. It is elegant lamentation. It is fear disguised as seeking. Break it, rise. Not to understand, but to trace, to carve meaning with your very existence. And let every step you take, every word you utter, every gaze you hold, be a decree that the universe cannot ignore or question, because those who seek meaning read books, but those who impose it write them with fire, blood, silence, and power. Chapter 8. Rewrite the silence. Where there is no God, there is will. You have feared silence because you were told that God resides there. You closed your eyes hoping to hear a soft voice, a sweet presence, a luminous revelation, and all you found was emptiness, abyss, coldness, nothing. And then you thought you had failed, but no. That silence was not absence, it was virgin space, open field waiting for a decree, matter without a seal waiting for your fist. There is no God in silence. There is dormant will waiting to be awakened like lightning. And that lightning does not come from the heavens. It comes from you, from your marrow, from your incandescent core that you have yet to dare activate fully. Silence is not an answer. It is a canvas, and you keep praying when you should be writing with blood your will upon that invisible wall. Do not ask any more. Do not call. Do not plead. Declare, carve your law into the air. Break everything if necessary. But never interpret silence as negation. It is challenge, it is provocation, it is a throne without occupant, and if you do not occupy it, someone else will. The weak seek God in silence because they are afraid to discover that there is no one. The true initiate smiles when they hear the void, because they know that this means everything is in their hands, and there will be no judgment, no forgiveness, only obedience to their center or chaos. You did not come to listen to external revelations, you came to become revelation. And if silence does not respond, it is because you have not spoken with true authority, not as a victim, not as a believer, not as an aspirant, but as God, as decree, as sword. I did not wait for silence to speak to me. I violated it with symbols. I opened it with ritual words. I turned it into a profane temple, and when the echo of my voice filled that abyss, the universe aligned. Not because I deserved it, but because I gave it no other option. And you? Will you keep waiting for silence to reward you? Will you keep worshipping the void as if it were a deity that judges you? Break it, rewrite silence, make it your writing, not your cell. And every time you silence it, let that silence be impregnated with you, with your law, with your fire, with your will. Make your will and it will be all the law. If your will still trembles before silence, then you are still a creature. But if you sit in it as one enters their own palace, if you inhabit it as one inhabits a body made of mandate, then there is no God because you have occupied the throne, and the universe, before an occupied throne, no longer waits. It obeys. Chapter 9. Identity is the last prison. You freed yourself from religion. You detached from morality, despised culture, mocked the gods, blasphemed the dogmas, desecrated the altars, and still you remain imprisoned. Why? Because you carry the most seductive of shackles, inheritance, that poisoned mirror that tells you who you are. And like a foolish mystic, you believe it, defend it, make it leap. You are a man, you are a woman, you are spiritual, you are an artist, a magician, a fighter, a thinker. You are wounded, awake, human. You are 1,000 names, 1,000 forms, 1,000 poses. And you are nothing. Identity is the last prison because it is the only one you decorate with pride. You paint its walls with symbols, fill it with books, burn incense, and say, "This is me." This a form, a story, a fixed vibration profile, a mask held by the fear of not being recognized. Wake up. Your identity is the demon that whispers sweetly. It is the domesticated self that fears dissolving. It is the petrified form that can no longer transform and thus cannot create. You are not saved. You are the one who decides every moment. You are will incarnate or you are not, because will does not identify itself. It expresses, transforms, imposes, and disappears when it no longer serves. Do you want to be truly free? Free? Then do the unthinkable. Renounce yourself. Destroy the image you have of yourself. Break your reflection. Do not repair it and do not replace it. Leave it in ruins and keep walking. I was not Crowley the whole time, and I was a symbol, a code, a channel. And when the form no longer served me, I abandoned it, like a snake shedding its skin, without nostalgia, without attachment, without explanation. This is what you will do if you wish to embody the unspeakable. You will renounce every fixed identity, and each time someone asks you who you are, you will laugh because you will know there is no answer, and you don't need one. Slaves need identity to feel real. The initiated only need presence, and their presence is constant mutation. You cannot cage it, you cannot predict it, you cannot narrate it. You can only fear it or be humbled before it. Do your will, it will be the law. And if your will still depends on being someone, then it is not will. It is a frightened ego asking for a mask. Break everything, and if nothing remains, good, because what will remain will be fire, and fire has no identity, only hunger, only impulse, only pure power without a face. Chapter 10. The soul is not light, it is a knife wrapped in fire. They have made the soul a virgin, a dancer in white robes, an ethereal dove floating among imaginary clouds, waiting for its purification, its elevation, its redemption. Lies. The soul is not a flower, it is not a temple, it is not peace. The soul, the true soul, is a knife, and it burns. They sold you the image of the soul as pure substance, as untouchable essence, as that divine part that can never be stained. But if something cannot be stained, it also cannot incarnate. And if it cannot incarnate, it cannot act. And if it does not act, it is useless. Your soul is not light, it is blade, it is weapon, it is command hidden beneath layers of fire. And if you do not use it, it will cut you from the inside. Because the soul does not want to contemplate, it wants to dominate. It wants to invade matter and engrave its seal on it. It wants to turn every atom into decree. And if you do not do it, it rots and it corrupts. It becomes a shadow that devours you. They told you to listen to your soul and do not obey it or step aside because the soul does not whisper. It roars, it does not dialogue. It commands, and if you ignore it, it will abandon you, and you will remain hollow, desiring peace while your inner fire extinguishes, and with it, all meaning. I did not take care of my soul, I sharpened it, I used it, I dirtied it, I sank it into the pits of pleasure, chaos, and rupture, and when I emerged, it was not broken. It was more alive, more precise, more mine. Those who speak of caring for the soul as one cares for a fragile flame do not have a soul. They have a reflection. They have the memory of others. They have guilt disguised as elevation. Because the real soul does not seek purity. It seeks impact. It seeks territory. It seeks flesh, where it can inscribe itself. Your soul wants to conquer, not save. It wants to merge with your body, not float above it. It wants to take your language, your sex, your shadow, your fury, and turn them into expressions of its royalty. Do not meditate on it, push it, and do not clean it. Make it bleed on the altar of the world. Do not ask for guidance. Make it your whip, and let every step you take be a stroke of its empire. Do your will, it will be the law. And if your will still believes that the soul is a candle in the middle of a storm, then you have not known your soul. Because when you look at it head on, you will see that it is a knife wrapped in fire, and that it is not asking for permission. It is demanding war. Chapter 11. Who cannot be alone cannot be real. The most infallible test of your falsehood is your need for company. I'm not talking about shared pleasure or deliberate alliances. I'm talking about that silent dependency, that anguish that gnaws at the core when no one is watching, that urgency to exist only through the reflection of others, through validation, words, looks, reactions. That is your slavery, and until you destroy it, you won't be real. Surrounded by crowds that don't exist, by echoes that are not beings but fragments of unfulfilled desire. You seek them because you can't bear to face the absence of witnesses, because deep down you know that if no one is watching, if no one names you, if no one confirms you, you will disappear. And because you still haven't built an axis, you haven't forged the immovable core because the real doesn't need to be seen. The real exists with such force that its mere presence changes the atmosphere, even when no one is there to applaud it. When you're alone and don't know what to do with yourself, it's not boredom, it's revealed emptiness, the awareness that there is no substance in what you call I. And then you seek noise, faces, opinions, attachments, anything but silence, because silence demands that you be more than just an image. Aleister Crowley, I have inhabited deserts and inner catacombs not as punishment but as a throne, because only in the most absolute solitude can you check if you have your own fire or if all your light came from the world's spotlights. True initiates are not afraid of solitude, they demand it, turn it into ritual, make it their sword because they know that as long as they need company to sustain their form, they have no form. Look at how the slaves live, surrounded to avoid thinking, to avoid feeling, to avoid hearing themselves, to avoid realizing that all they are is a compilation of foreign voices, and without them, they are smoke, nothing. But you didn't come here to be an echo, you came to be a drum that marks the rhythm of the world. And a drum doesn't need an orchestra. It sounds alone and makes everything else align. Make your will and it shall be all the law. And if your will still needs the presence of others to feel real, then it's not will, it's fear disguised as love. It's fragility asking for mirrors. Break them, be alone, silence everything. And if after that you can still hear yourself, if after that you still vibrate, still speak, still create, then you don't need witnesses because you are the event. And the world, if it wants to survive, will have to revolve around you. Chapter 12. Make your body a throne, not a cage. You were taught to view your body as a prison, as an obstacle, as fallen flesh, as the enemy of light. They told you that you were soul-trapped, spirit-chained, divinity exiled in a corruptible form. And you, hungry for heaven, began to hate yourself inside, wanting to escape, to float, to deny your sacred vehicle as if you were too pure to be here. Cowards. All of those who preach the denial of the body are cowards of the soul, fanatics of escape, and prisoners disguised as mystics. Because the true initiate does not escape the body. They turn it into a throne, crown it, inhabit it until every cell responds to its command. Your body is not a prison, it is a living temple, it is operational geometry, it is a symbol in action, and as long as you reject it, you will remain fragmented. Because I saw the soul that hasn't fully incarnated. It's a ghost talking about universal love while suffering for not having roots, because only the one who is fully here can rule. I never hated my body. I violated it with my will. I disciplined it. I baked it with symbols, with rites, with sacred pleasures. I used it as a channel, as an altar, as a weapon, because I knew that without a body there is no possible empire, no invocation that materializes, no command that is engraved on the earth. Your body must be a throne, not a cage. And for that you must inhabit it as one inhabits a kingdom, with absolute presence, with ruthless authority, with fierce pride. Do you want to channel? Start with your spine. Make the column of fire. Do you want to vibrate high? Then purify your breath and direct your blood. Do you want to invoke gods? First, make sure that every muscle responds to your word without resistance. Because as long as your body is a stranger, you will remain an inquirer. And the throne doesn't belong to the guest. It belongs to the one who possesses it with fury, with joy, with will. The body is where the law is written. Not in the sky, not in books, in your flesh, in your marrow. In your marrow, the geometry of the eternal is imprinted. And every gesture you make, every look, every word must be an extension of your royalty, or you are nothing. Make your will and it shall be all the law. And if your will still floats outside the body as if it were an obstacle, then you haven't descended yet. And without descent there is no dominion. Return to the body, not as a victim, not as a penitent, not as a saint, but as a king, as a sacred serpent, as will incarnated, that has stopped asking for permission to be alive and has decided to rule, not escape. because only the one who makes their body a throne turns the world into their kingdom, and the world has no choice but to bow. Chapter 13. Destroy your compassion if it does not arise from your center. Compassion is a weapon, but like any weapon, if you do not wield it from the center of your will, it destroys you, weakens you, and corrupts you with the sweetness of the weak. And you, who have not yet learned to distinguish between kindness and unconscious pact, fall again and again not for lack of power, but for excess of guilt. You have been programmed to associate compassion with virtue. They taught you that feeling others' pain is a sign of elevation, that being moved is a mark of humanity, that helping without measuring is nobility of the soul. Lie. Lie embalmed in centuries of religion of slaves. Lie useful to the system that needs your knees, not your throne. Compassion is real only when it comes from the burning core, when it does not arise from fear, sorrow, or the desire to please, when it does not seek applause, when it does not ask for recognition, when it does not wear you down but emanates as a decree, as a will that chooses to act not because it must but because it can. Everything else is false compassion, a refined form of control, an emotional makeup you use to feel good without taking responsibility, a flight, a sweet poison, a chain with a smile. Have you ever helped to avoid feeling guilty? Have you given just because you didn't know how to say no? Have you cried for another without knowing if that pain was yours or an unconscious replica? Then it was not compassion, it was fear, and fear, even disguised as tenderness, is betrayal. I have not had compassion for the blind who choose not to see. I have not shed tears for those who love their prison. I have offered fire. I have extended the dagger. I have spoken the truth like lightning, even though it tears. And I have loved only from the center, not from guilt. Because everything that does not come from the center is born to chain you. True compassion is not soft, it is violent, it is precise, it is surgical fire. And when it touches another, it does not embrace to comfort, it cuts to awaken. Do you still believe that helping is making others feel better? You are asleep. The true magician does not relieve, he reveals. He does not caress, he transforms. And many times the transformation hurts more than the original wound. Do your will, it will be the whole law. And if your will still bends to be good, then it is not will, it is programming. It is conditioned reflex. It is fear of being hated when you should be seeking to be true. Destroy all compassion that does not emanate from your inner throne. Do not reason it. Do not justify it. Do not hold it because it feels right. If it does not arise from the fire, burn it yourself before it consumes you, before it turns you into one more of those ghosts wrapped in good intentions and absent presence. Because on the path of the initiate, tenderness is not renunciation, it is precision, and love is not fluff, it is decree. Chapter 14. There is no purpose, only direction imposed with fury. Anyone still searching for a purpose is begging for permission to exist. The world is full of kneeling spirits asking heaven, cards, guides, mirrors, what am I here for? And every time they ask, they bury themselves deeper in the mud of the sleepers. There is no purpose. There is no universal plan assigned. There is no prescribed mission for your soul. You are not part of a divine machinery. You did not come to fulfill anything. You came to impose. The universe is virgin field. It makes no sense until someone engraves it with fire. And that engraving is not obtained by waiting for signs, channeling entities with soft voices, or deciphering hidden numbers among forced coincidences. It is engraved with decision, with fury, with the brutal intensity of one who does not expect to be chosen because he is already chosen. You do not have a purpose. You have direction, and that direction is not discovered. It is imposed. The days are carved with a blade. Time is pierced with the spear of will. Do you think the gods have purpose? No, the gods exist because nothing can prevent it, because they are inevitable. And you, if you want to stop crawling through the muck of spiritual searching, must abandon that childish longing to discover your purpose, as if you were a lost key waiting for a heavenly lock. You are the lock, you are the key, you are the door. You are the fire that passes through them all. The initiate does not need motive, he needs intensity. He needs direction that is not justified, that does not ask for approval, that does not rest on logic or morality, but simply moves forward because there is nothing else but that. I did not have purpose, I had hunger. I had direction like a whip, like lightning that traces itself in the sky without need for reason. And when they asked me, "Why are you doing this?" I responded with actions, with presence, with results that burned the skin of those who doubted. Seekers of purpose age waiting. Creators of direction burn the world in their wake. Do your will, it will be the whole law. And if your will still asks why, then it is not will. It is doubt with the guise of mysticism. It is fear of failing, fear of being wrong, fear of making a move. But error does not exist for the one who imposes the path, because where he steps, the trace is born. Where he breathes, the space curves. And where he commands, the universe kneels. Do not ask anymore. Do not interpret signs anymore. Do not beg answers from the void. Create direction, choose and burn. And let the world fear your step, not because it makes sense, but because it is inevitable. Chapter 15. Do not expect understanding. Without being intelligible to the temples, whoever still needs to be understood remains tied to the womb. They continue crying in search of approval, for a face that says, "I understand you," as if that would give validity to their existence. But fire does not need to be understood. It only needs to burn. Understanding is the most subtle bond that the masses use to keep you domesticated. If they can understand you, they can explain you. If they can explain you, they can limit you. If they can limit you, they can judge you, classify you, and ultimately nullify you. That is why the initiate does not seek to be understood, does not translate, does not adjust to the ear of others, does not simplify, because their truth was not made to be digested, but to burn. Do you want to awaken your will and still be accepted by the temples? Do you want to be fire and still be invited to the table of the sane? Impossible. Truth does not fit within the walls of institutions or in the minds of those who need rules to breathe. When you speak from the center, you do not sound human. It sounds like the abyss, like the nameless God, like thunder that needs no drama. And that offends, that disturbs, that provokes expulsion. And you, if you are real, must love expulsion as a test, as a medal, as confirmation that you no longer belong. I did not come to be understood. I came to break the language. I came to speak in symbols, seals, gestures that no one can repeat without becoming someone else. And you should not seek understanding either, because every time you explain yourself, you shrink, you translate, you become a caricature of what you truly are. Temples, every temple, from religions to the institutions of the soul, need understanding as a tool of control. They classify you to archive you, interpret you to lock you up, applaud you to silence you. But if you are unintelligible, if you are pure escape, if you are organized chaos, they cannot touch you, and that makes you free. Do your will, it will be the law. And if your will still longs to be understood, then it is not will, it is childish desire. Break with it, destroy it. Eliminate the kind language, make your words feel like stones. Make your presence uncomfortable for the temples and magnetic for those who are yet to be born. Because you are not here to be understood. You are here to impose. You are here to embody what has no name or form yet, my speech. You are here so that when the world sees you, it won't know what to do and will bow. Chapter 16. Morality is a tool. Use it, do not obey it. Morality is an invention, a contraption of the fearful soul, a structure built to contain the fury of those who have not yet dared to rule. It was not written by the gods, but by the weak, who needed to subjugate the strong. And you, if you wish to reign, cannot obey it. You must wield it, manipulate it, twist it, or destroy it. They told you there are good things and bad things. They taught you to distinguish between the right path and the wrong one. They indoctrinated you with rewards and punishments. Then you are not free. You are obedient with a delusion of virtue. Morality, if not chosen, if not subjected to judgment, and turned into a servant of your will, becomes an invisible master, and you become its dog dressed in white. The moral codes you did not create do not belong to you, and everything that does not belong to you uses you, exploits you, programs you, when you, believing you are doing the right thing, are fulfilling the script of those who never wanted you to awaken. Do you think being moral makes you strong? No, it makes you predictable. And the predictable can be domesticated. The true initiate does not eliminate morality, they turn it into a mask. They wear it when it suits them, tear it off when it gets in the way, adapt it like the sorcerer adapts a symbol, not for faith, but for utility. I have used morality as a mirror and as a sword. I have been an angel in the midst of rituals of chaos. I have been a demon in temples of false light, and I never obeyed any code that was not etched in my bones by my will, and that made me sovereign. You, if you wish to be real, must stop being good. Start being precise. Start being just with yourself. Start deciding which morality serves you and which must burn. Because all morality that is imposed from the outside is not law. It is a shackle. And those who were born to rule are not chained by any type of ethics they have not carved themselves in the marble of their marrow. Do your will, it will be the law. And if your will still needs to feel right to move forward, then it is not will, it is fear dressed in goodness. Break with it. Be moral when your domain demands it. Be immoral when your fire demands it. And in both cases, be the one who decides. Not tradition, not culture, not religion, not the flock. Because the initiate does not submit to the right. They create it. They impose it. And if the world trembles before it, better. Because only those who dictate their own law are remembered as gods. Chapter 17. Don't evolve, master yourself. The word evolution is the opiate of the lukewarm, a soft promise that whispers in the ears of those who don't want to take on the weight of their own authority. You've been told that you are in process, that you are advancing, that you are growing, as if you were a plant waiting for spring, as if the cosmos had patience with you. No, you are not evolving. You are postponing. You are justifying your indecision with elegant words. You are disguising your cowardice as humility. The universe does not reward those who transform slowly. The universe bows down to those who impose themselves, to those who don't wait to change, but tame themselves like a furious beast, and then ride it straight to the center of their throne. Have you ever said, "I'm working on myself, I'm healing, I'm improving"? Then you are still a slave, because all of that language is time, and time is the secret weapon of the ego, which fears its own extinction. Evolution is a narrative that keeps you passive, giving you the illusion of progress, while in reality, you continue spinning in the same circle of mud. Every new layer you uncover, every shadow you observe, every emotion you integrate is another excuse to not do what you came here to do. Govern yourself here and now, without waiting, without stages. I did not evolve. I tamed myself with the lash of will. I took my passions and turned them into symbols. I took my weaknesses and shaped them until they trembled at the sound of my name. I didn't ask for time. I imposed structure, and if I failed, I didn't cry. I adjusted and became fiercer, more precise. You don't need to evolve. You need to master yourself. Not little by little, not according to your lunar titles, not to the rhythm of your therapist, but now with the brutality of someone who has seen through their own lie, with the coldness of someone who knows that there is no tomorrow for the one who doesn't govern themselves today. Do your will, it will be the law. And if your will still hides behind the word process, then it's not will, it's waiting disguised as a path. Break it. Make yourself the master of you, like one who takes a wild animal, eyes fixed and unblinking, without compassion, without pause. Greatness is not born from evolution, it is born from absolute mastery. And mastery doesn't feel good. It's not sweet, it's raw, it's tense, it's solitude, but it's real. And the real doesn't need transitions, it needs command, because the one who masters no longer asks for direction. They dictate it, and the universe, tired of waiting for your awakening, finally surrenders and obeys. Chapter 18. Vibrate without a name, create without witnesses, command without a face. You barely reach a flicker of power, and already you are telling others about it. You name your awakening, document your ascent, and wait for witnesses, as if truth needed an audience to be real, as if greatness required to be seen to exist, as if your vibration depended on being recognized. False initiate. Seeker still trapped in the mirror. You don't understand that the highest vibrates without a name, creates without witnesses, and commands without a face. True power is anonymous, undetectable, a force that filters between worlds and transforms without permission, without signature, without applause. The weak want to be seen. Real magicians disappear, not to hide, but because they have understood that what is visible is manipulable, and what is invisible is unquestionable. Why do you name your vibration? Why label your actions? Why make your power public? Do you need approval? Do you need energetic validation? Do you need to be remembered to feel eternal? Then you have not entered the circle. The initiate does not present themselves, they impose themselves. They don't seek followers, they leave no trail, they don't write their name on water. They are the storm that makes the lake tremble. I did not want to be a legend. I was a symbol hidden among the scandal. I was a cipher. I was an echo of the unnameable. And when they called me a beast, I laughed because even that word was a cage, and I no longer fit in any. If you wish to manifest without limits, you must erase your face, not as a victim, but as a god who no longer needs identity. Your creation must not shout who made it. It should be so perfect that the world does not dare to ask, only to obey. Do your will, it will be the law. And if your will still seeks recognition, if it still needs medals, credits, altars, then it is not will. It is ego asking for love. And the love that asks doesn't command, only the one who orders from silence and doesn't need to be understood. Reign. Vibrate without a name so that they cannot invoke you or stop you. Create without witnesses so that your work speaks for itself in the language of the gods. Command without a face so that your empire is unassailable, because no one will know where your throne begins or where your shadow ends. Chapter 19. If you can still explain yourself, you are not real. Every explanation is a renunciation. Every time you open your mouth to justify your fire, you dilute it. Every word you use to make yourself understood is an involuntary offering to the altar of the weak. For the one who is real does not explain, they impose themselves. And reality, when it is genuine, does not need discourse. It needs presence. Do you want to be accepted? Do you want others to understand why you burn like this? Why you do what you do? Why you no longer fit into their domesticated rituals? Then you have not yet been born. You are still a reflection. You are still negotiating your shape with those who never had one. The need to explain oneself is a trap, a brilliant trap, a chain disguised as a bridge, a defense mechanism of the ego that still fears expulsion, rejection, misunderstanding. But tell me, why should the fire explain its flame? Why should thunder apologize for sounding? Why should the vertex of the vertex, that shapeless point, have to be translated for square minds? I, Aleister Crowley, never asked for understanding. I was called a monster, a blasphemer, a wise pervert, a mystic, a liar, a prophet. And I didn't care about any of those labels because none of them would be mine. My truth does not fit in the dictionary. My being cannot be dissected, and that is why I reign. You still speak too much. You defend yourself, explain yourself, sometimes sweetly, sometimes with rage, but always waiting for the other to understand you. Why? To feel less alone, to feel validated, to sleep peacefully in the womb of consensus. Break that. Break the mirror, break the language that adapts, and stay alone but unshakable, misunderstood but sovereign. The true initiate does not give reasons. They are the reason. They do not give arguments. They are the sentence. They do not beg for understanding. They are the axe that falls, the symbol that burns, the form that twists. And if no one understands them, better, because what is truly real does not explain itself. It imposes itself. Do your will, and it will be all the law. And if your will still needs to be narrated, still asks to be accepted, still cries, "Look at me, hear me, believe me," then it is not will. It is emptiness adorned. It is fire contained in a paper lamp, and that does not burn, does not transform, does not command. When you are real, you will no longer speak. You will be, and the world will have no option but to adapt to your vibration or consume itself before it. And that, my dear fragment of the abyss, does not need an explanation. Chapter 20. Do not stay, do not return. Be the echo that tears the veil. Wise men want to leave a legacy. Masters want to be remembered. Saints want to return. Return as an example, as a teaching, as energy, as a myth. But you did not come to stay or return. You came to tear, to destroy the veil, to open the crack that never closes, and then to disappear. Because everything that remains too long becomes an idol, and every idol, sooner or later, is empty worship, repetition without marrow, a lie that was once truth. Do not want to leave a trace, leave a wound that does not heal, a fissure in consciousness, an irreversible distortion, so that when the world tries to return to its order, something shakes, and it knows that you passed through, and what you were cannot be described, denied, or replicated. The true initiate does not seek an altar, does not desire a statue, does not long for recognized reincarnation. They want to be an echo, but not an echo of words, an echo of rupture, noise that does not cease, vibration that decomposes the structure of the world even centuries later. Are you going to return? To do what? To repeat your form? To dress again with an identity you have already mastered? To teach the new ones what cannot be taught? No, you burn once, and that flame is enough to set fire to 1,000 times. The rest is vanity of those who still fear dissolving. But you do not fear disappearing because you know that disappearing is not dying. It is becoming uncapturable, unnameable, impossible to contain. I, Aleister Crowley, never wanted to return. I wanted to fracture, to introduce a virus of chaos into the temples. I wanted to collapse the stairs of ascension and force the spirits to build wings. And when I finished, I vanished. And what remained was not my image. It was the tremor, the crack, the open abyss. Do your will, and it will be all the law. And if your will still wishes to stay, still needs posthumous applause, remembrance, lineage, then it is not will. It is ego disguised as mission. Do not stay, do not return. Be what tears, not what teaches. Be what appears once and breaks the map. What the wise cannot translate, what the temples cannot absorb, what history cannot archive. You will not be a myth, you will be distortion. You will be the crack through which the new gods enter, and through which those who refuse to kneel escape. And when the world tries to return to its form, it will hear an echo of yours, the one that has no voice but still burns, the one that cannot be called because it never left.